Hello Flosstube and welcome to the Homestead. It is Thursday, April 11th, 2019, and I figured I would try to get a video in while I had the time. The girls are not going to be very happy with me because they have a lot to share, but if I waited until we could all sit down and do a Flosstube video, it would literally be into May. So they're just going to have to do their own without me, I guess. I want to talk to you first of all about the Fuga Yankee retreat. I'm sure you've all heard about it by now via Pam and Steph or Helen D or Hillary at Rustic Threads. So I'm not gonna dwell on it, but there are a few things that I wanted to talk about and discuss. It was a wonderful event. It was even better than I could have imagined. We just had such a great time. Everyone visited and stitched, some of us more than others, and we ate good food, and we really enjoyed ourselves. I was lucky enough to receive Kristen's small. How New England is that, right? Perfect. Now she said to me, Lynette, if you're not a Patriots fan, I brought something else in case. And I said to her, well, I am not really a Patriots fan. Don't tell anyone. My dad was born and raised in New York, so we grew up rooting for New York sports teams. However, we lost my uncle in January, and he was a huge Patriots fan. And so I took his Patriots t-shirt that he always wore, and I rooted for the Patriots in the Super Bowl for Uncle Leroy. And so this memento is going to remind me more of Uncle Leroy than the Patriots, so I'm thrilled to get it. What else? I did get some stitching done. So I think I had told you that I was hoping to fill in this house right here. Let me get it situated. In His Eye is on the Sparrow. Ah! So I got the house filled in, which made me happy. I did not get this bird filled in. I didn't get nearly as much done as I thought I would, but being able to just brainlessly fill this in and not have to count was wonderful, because I don't think I would have gotten anything done had I had to sit there and count. So I'll try to show you this beast. It's huge. And I'm just about halfway there. The tree trunk, can you see that, is halfway. So I love it, but it'll be a year in May that I started working on it. So it's time to get it done, and I will talk more about that later. So I worked on that at the retreat, and then I started working on this project right here from the Sweet Land of Liberty. Helen is doing that one, and Pam is doing that one. And so basically what happened is I put like 16 stitches in it, and it wasn't tight in my Q-snaps that I had brought for it, and so I didn't like stitching on it. So I basically started it so that I could say I started it at the retreat, and then I put it away because I couldn't get the tension I wanted in the fabric. So that had to wait until I got home in order to work on it. So those are the two projects I worked on. We had an amazing freebie. We had a freebie hearth, and then it rolled over onto tables. Like, there was just so much stuff. So I got some great linen that I'm really excited to use, and a couple of like the Be Kind and Be Patient, Be Kind from By the Bay Needle Works. I got some of those patterns, and I know the girls also got some freebies that I will let them talk about at a later date. So Pam and Steph loaded up everything that was left and took it home to Ohio with them. So that will be the New England Stitchers contribution to StitchCon. So if you're going to StitchCon, there's going to be lots of good stuff at the freebie table. I'm just going to get on a little retreat soapbox for about 3 minutes. Because I want to encourage everyone out there in Flosstube world, whether you make videos or you watch videos, please consider hosting one of these retreats. It will be way more amazing than you can even think. It's lovely to meet other stitchers. Some stitchers there didn't have local friends to stitch with. And so it was like their first time stitching with others, and it was just wonderful. And so maybe especially if you don't have local people, organize one of these retreats and get yourself some local stitching friends. It's really easy. This is all you have to do. You have to Google Residence Inn in whatever location you want to have your retreat. Find your Residence Inn, call them, ask to speak with the events coordinator and say, look, I would like to reserve a block of rooms for a stitching retreat. We will be taking over your common area for the Friday night and the Saturday that we are there. And that's it. And they will probably say, that's perfectly fine. That's what the common area is for. Please come on into our hotel. And so at that point, the event coordinator will send you a link to a group rate for the hotel rooms. You can then disperse that link to everyone, and everyone is responsible for making their own arrangements. So you have to do nothing. There's no money to take care of. There's no paperwork. Everything is done online through the hotel website, and you're off the hook. If you want to have a potluck, have a potluck. It was fantastic. If you don't. It's just the opportunity to get together with other stitchers and talk and stitch and laugh and have a good time. It's very easy. I would encourage you maybe to think about doing it in the off season, because the Residence Inn rooms in the summer can be pretty pricey. But in fact, I know this because I was just looking at one in another area that I'm considering doing something in. And during the winter, I think the public rate for the rooms are probably $119 in the winter, and they go up to $169 or $189 in the summer. So it's quite a difference. So if you hold it in the winter, or not necessarily in the dead of winter, because then you have to worry about snow and stuff if you're in the north. But if you hold it in the off season, your group rate will be even cheaper than that. So that would be my only advice is if you want to keep it cheap and easy, then pick some time in the off season. Maybe even talk to the hotel coordinator and say, when is your least busy time? And they will be happy to work with you. You don't even have to do Residence Inn, but I will tell you this. The common area was perfect. We didn't have to pay anything to use it. Every other hotel in this area that I contacted about having a dedicated stitching space wanted hundreds of dollars to reserve a room. Nope. So Residence Inn was just the easiest because they had the common area, and from what I can tell online, all of the Residence Inns are pretty much the same, and they have the same area with the same big tables that can fit 16 or 18 people around them, plus other tables in the room. So go for it. Perhaps the biggest reason why I think you should do this, if you are considering, is because of Pam and Hillary, Rustic Threads. Not Pam, sorry, Steph. Both of them in their videos talked about how they formed an immediate connection and bond. And not to pat myself on the back, but if I hadn't taken the 10 minutes it took to get the link for the rooms, this wouldn't have happened, and that friendship never would have happened. And so you don't know what friendships you might be responsible for. And I just think that's a pretty cool thing. So, like I said, if you're thinking about it, do it. It's easy. It's not time consuming at all. Go for it. And that's all I have to say about Frugal Yankee. Next up is StitchCon. And I've kind of started putting together our itinerary. Little one and I are driving out. I have some stops that I want to make along the way. Otherwise, I would consider flying. But we're going to drive out. We're going to have an adventure. We're going to make memories. However, I learned at the Frugal Yankee that I absolutely need to have brainless stitching to do if I'm going to get any stitching done at all. And so I came home and I immediately started thinking about what projects I was going to take to StitchCon, knowing that I want to talk, I want to get to know people, but I also want to stitch. So what I did was I looked at the projects that I was hoping to do this year, and I found some that that were heavy on the fill-ins. And so I'm going to be starting those in hopes of working on them during StitchCon. Now, I won't be finishing them during StitchCon, but I want to get to the point where I can at least do the fill-ins. And so I'm going to show you some of those right now because I've already started some of them. The first one comes from Farmer's Market. I'm borrowing this bag from Eldest. It was a gift from Cindy's Cross Stitch, but it was perfect for this project, so I'm borrowing it. I've already done several of them, but Susan was stitching on the tomatoes at the Frugal Yankee Retreat. She is Mama Sue 65 on Instagram, if you would like to follow her. But I just loved her tomatoes. Now hers are a little tinier than mine because she's stitching it on, her stitches are smaller because she's stitching it on higher count fabric. But I knew that I had to do the tomatoes next. It's also timely because my little tomato seedlings are about yay high. So I decided to work on the tomatoes. And so it took me like 2 days, and this is what I did. And for now, these are done. Because the only thing that's left is to fill in all of this area with that dark red color that I outlined, right? So that'll take a couple hours at StitchCon while I'm talking. It might even take a full day, but I won't have to count. I can just stitch. And so this will be finished at StitchCon. And then the other thing that I thought would be nice and brainless was this one from My Big Toe. Now, the letters aren't brainless, and these borders are not brainless, but the lines separating the text don't require any thinking. So what I decided to do was start this and leave all of the lines in between the text to do at StitchCon. Now, I showed this a while back, probably back in 2018 when I was talking about my 2019 plans. I am changing the verse of this. So it currently says, "It is better to dwell in a corner of a housetop than in a common house with a quarrelsome wife." I don't consider myself a quarrelsome wife. My husband better not consider me a quarrelsome wife because we've never really had a fight. So I am changing this to a verse from Proverbs 31, which is one of my favorites. And so I need to chart that out on my computer program. But in the meantime, I've started. So I'm going to do this top row here, and then I'm going to work on this flower border. And then you can see right here, I've already put in with the colors that I need to do. So at StitchCon, I know I can just start there and stitch on. I can start here and stitch on. And so again, another project that's coming to StitchCon, depending on how far I get beforehand, it may or may not be a finish. Like I said, I haven't charted up the words yet, and that's going to take me a while, so we'll see. But that will also be worked on at StitchCon. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about, I'm so frustrated. I did the math. And this on 18 count, it's 18 count, you can see right here. 18 count cork linen. I got it really cheap on clearance through, not Hoffman, that other catalog that begins with an H that sells cross stitch. Anyway, got it really cheap. So I started stitching, and this is exactly the width. Like, I counted, this is how far it goes. And I was like, well, that's weird. I was really off center. I'm not usually that far off center. What the heck? And then I started looking at it, and I was like, my math told me that this should be 6 1/4 inches wide, and this is not 6 1/4 inches wide. So I remeasured, and it's like 5 something. So then I counted. 18 count cork is actually 20 count cork. So in this case, it was a happy accident because I will be able to use a 6-inch frame to frame this because it's less than 6 inches. If it was really 18 count, I would have had to found a larger square frame. Yeah, that's the other thing. As I mentioned, I'm taking a row of text out, and so it's going to be exactly a square. So I think last night I found a frame that's going to work beautifully with it. So we'll keep our fingers crossed, and maybe that will be the case. Okay, so my big toe, farmer's market. So my plan with farmer's market is in May, I'm going to start the eggplant, I think. And then in June, I'll start another one. And the same thing applies. I will get it to this point where all I have to do is fill in. And so that will be 3 of these at StitchCon that I'm working on. And then I'll be doing the straight lines on my big toe. And so then I decided I would come up with one more project. I may do 2 more, but 1 more. I don't want to overpack and bring all kinds of projects that I know I'm not going to get done. I want to keep it reasonable. So this project is all due to the sulkies. You've all seen this pack. This is the Life Needs More Chocolate Bunnies from Kathy at Hands On Design. So Susan, who I've already mentioned at the Frugal Yankee Retreat, was stitching on a Quaker that she was doing in sulkies. All greens. She had a green collection of these, and it was beautiful. And so I wanted to try the sulkies. And so looking at the collections on Amazon, I didn't see anything that really caught my eye. And so I was ordering stuff for little one on 1 2 3 Stitch. And I decided I would order this pack because it was a good price. It was, you know, usually stuff can be more expensive through stitch stores. It was pretty comparable to what I would have paid at Amazon. So this is what I realized. You see, right? Chocolate bunnies. However, if you do this and take out these 2 colors, that is all autumn, right? Perfect colors for autumn. Perfect colors, actually, for the Penny Pumpkin that I won from Cindy's Cross Stitch, which made me so excited because I have been eyeing this pattern forever. And so I am going to use the sulkies on this fabric that I got from Donna Ray. I believe I got it from Donna Ray. I don't know what makes me think that. Anyway, I think I got it from Donna Ray. Donna Ray, did I get it from you? So these colors on this fabric for this pattern. And I think it's going to be fantastic. So basically, if you look at this, before StitchCon, I'm going to outline the urn. So all I have to do is fill that in. And then I'm going to outline the pumpkin, so all I have to do is stitch the white. So that's going to be brainless as well. Ellen at the Frugal Yankee was stitching on, I forget the name of it. You all know the pattern. It's the Brenda Gervais with the big old snowman with the cardinal on his head. So she was just stitching white and stitching white and stitching white. So I had considered starting that pattern because it is on my definite list of things I want to do. But I decided that I don't want to stitch winter right now, and I probably won't want to stitch winter in June. So I figured I would start this, get as much filled in as I could, and then it'll be waiting for me in autumn when I actually want to stitch on autumn. If I start another project to do at StitchCon, it will probably be Blueskin, because that's one that I want to do, and I could just stitch forever on that horse and just fill it in. So I haven't decided whether I'll be doing that or not. But those are my plans for StitchCon. So until StitchCon, this is how it's going to go down. From now until the end of April, I am going to continue my work on this one, trying to get this border done and that done and chart out the verse. May is Stitch Mania. And I've already told you, Stitch Mania for me is all about Sparrow and getting a lot done on this. So every day I'm going to pick a new motif and stitch on it, which is going to drive me crazy. Because usually I start a motif and I stitch on it until it's done, and then I go on to the next one. So in order to kind of curb my anxiety about that, I have made the rule that if for whatever reason I'm stitching on a small motif and I finish it and I still have more stitching time that day, then I'm going to allow myself to go back and finish, you know, ones that I've started previously. So I'm going to start 19 motifs in honor of 2019. And then starting on the 19th, I will just go back and try to finish as many of the ones that I started as I could. Somewhere towards the last week, probably the last 4 days or so of May, depending on how things look, I will go ahead and start the eggplant from Farmer's Market. Because it's one a month, right? Prairie Schooler all year long. So that'll be my May. I will start it towards the end of the month. And then in June, that's when I'm going to hopefully start the Penny Pumpkin and maybe Blueskin to get them ready for StitchCon. I will also start another Farmer's Market vegetable to get that ready for StitchCon. And then it'll be here before we know it. So those are plans. And before I forget, I have an FO to show you. Did you notice that I never showed you my progress on this? So we got home from retreat and I didn't want to stitch on Sparrow because I knew that it was going to be all about Sparrow in May. And so I stitched on this. And it stitched up so much faster than I thought it was going to. And so it's done. So I don't know how I'm going to finish it yet, and I haven't decided. I do think this is my plan. Because see, I have all this extra linen. I think that I'm going to do Blueskin on this same linen, and I'm going to use as many of these colors as I can. So they'll kind of go together. And for those of you who don't know what Blueskin is the Plum Street with George Washington and his horse Blueskin, and then the big cherry tree. Except I'm not going to stitch George Washington and I'm not going to stitch the cherry tree. I'm just stitching the horse and the cherry basket on the horse. So it'll be a nice little patriotic motif. So that's the plan. I think I told you everything I needed to about stitching. So, just a final homestead update. We spent many hours last weekend getting our raised beds dug and shaped. We are doing 30-inch beds with 18-inch walkways, a la Jean-Martin Fortier out of Quebec and his market gardener or market farmer method. And so we have tarped, we got 17 rows, and they are 30 feet long. And so we got them dug, we got them tarped. Before we tarped it, we added lime because I knew it needed the lime. So right now we're just waiting for Mother Nature to do its thing. The purpose of tarping them, we used the thick black silage tarps that I had to special order. The purpose of tarping them is so that it heats up the soil, and then that encourages weeds to sprout. Because with all of the digging, we unearth lots of weed seeds. And so they'll get nice and warm and toasty under the tarp, and they will sprout. And then they will realize, hey, there's no sunlight up here, and then they will die. And then at that point, we can uncover the beds. Probably another 3 weeks from now, we'll uncover the beds and we'll be able to plant in them, and hopefully that will go a long way in helping the weed pressure. I've got a herb garden in the works that I'll be putting mostly perennials in, and probably mostly herbs that are good in tea. And so that's my project. And we'll be planting peas and potatoes soon. I saw my first dandelions yesterday. I saw 3 of them, and then I saw a couple more today. So the rule of thumb is when the dandelions bloom, it's time to plant the potatoes. So they will be going in soon. And we get the raspberry beds raked out and fertilized, and we are in the process of adding compost to the raspberry beds. So hopefully we will get a nice harvest out of those as well. And the bees arrive. The first package of bees arrives May 3rd. So exciting times. I was just at Walmart today and I bought 3 25-pound bags of sugar. And I thought, sure, the cashier was going to be all like, what do you need 75 pounds of sugar for? And I was going to say to feed the bees, but she didn't ask, so I didn't have to. So that's it. I don't know when we will be back. I'm sure the girls will want to do a video soon. My in-laws arrive on Saturday. It's been 4 years since we've seen them. But they're in Nebraska, and they were supposed to get another snowstorm. So we are keeping our fingers crossed that they can get to Omaha and fly out. As it is, they have to take a different route to the airport than they're used to because of flooding. So they fared well, but a lot of their neighbors could not say the same. So we're anxious to have them. Like I said, it's been 4 years. We haven't seen them since before we left for Guam. So we'll be visiting with them and then gardening, but hopefully stitching too. So I hope to be back before too much longer with an update. Until then, I wish you fair winds and following seas.